are for addicts or those who think they might have a problem with drugs. If you are not an addict, we kindly ask you to attend an open meeting. We ask that you don't break anyone's anonymity by being in a place where non-addict bystanders may accidentally see what's going on. We ask that you're fully clothed and you turn, if you're not fully clothed, that's a hard word, you turn off your video. All right, we have some tradition that eventually will be put in the chat. And for the protection of our members, we ask that no drug or paraphernalia be used while attending this online meeting. You're welcome, they're not. This is for the protection of NA members and NA Fellowship as a whole. All right, before I start, can we just have, I need a moment of silence. I don't know about you guys, but I need to center myself. So I'm gonna take a moment of silence, and I would love if you guys joined me, and then I'll do a little prayer. Prayer, I'm gonna do the third step prayer. Take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, and show me how to live. All right, I actually want to do something a little bit different. Zoe, would you read, I will share it on the screen. Would you read, we do recover?
Yes.
Give me 1 minute. Can't find it on my screen.
You said we do recover?
Mm-hmm, you have it?
Let me double check and see if I have it. I might do.
I got it, Zoe.
Oh, I got it. I literally, okay. Hi, my name is Zoe. I'm a very grateful recovering addict.
Hey, Zoe.
But at the end of the road, we find that we can no longer function as a human being, either with or without drugs. We all face the same dilemma. What is there left to do? There seems to be this alternative. Either go on as best as we can to the bitter ends, jails, institutions, or death, or find a new way to live. In years gone by, very few addicts have ever had this last choice. Those who are addicted today are more fortunate. For the first time in man's entire history, a simple way has been proving itself in the lives of many addicts. It is available to us all. This is a simple, spiritual, not religious program known as Narcotics Anonymous. Thank you for letting me read.
Thanks, Zoe. All right, my topic that I was given was, where is your HP? The reason I chose to read We Do Recover, all of our readings are very important, but we have read all the readings at the beginning of the meetings a few hours ago. What I love about the We Do Recover reading is that it ends off with, this is not a religious. This is a simple, spiritual, not religious program known as Narcotics Anonymous. When I came into the rooms, it was really, really, really difficult for me to filter out what was going on in the meetings when people were talking about God or higher powers. I had no idea what they were talking about. I grew up with it. I grew up with God. I never had big issues with God. I didn't have a real relationship with God or my higher power. I just grew up with this concept, that there's this thing. He rules me. He tells me what to do, and I'm supposed to be doing it. And if I don't do it, then I'll suffer the consequences. But I never had spirituality in my life. It was just this concept. And it was, I was watching religious people do religious things, but have no spirituality in it. And at some point I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I don't get this. I never had a problem with having a higher power, who I choose to call God, but I also didn't have a relationship with this entity or whatever it was. And then I came into the rooms and people were talking about God and people were talking about higher power. And I had no idea what they were talking about because they were throwing out all these concepts that I had no idea I can even think of a higher power in that way. I was so set in the way that I was taught that it was like a whole new world was opened up to me. And it took me a long time to understand the concept of a higher power for me. And every time I work my steps, my sponsor's sitting here and she can attest to it. Every time I work my steps, every time I do my third step and every time I do my 11th step, I get stuck. I get stuck for a while because my brain starts, asking all those questions again about my higher power. And do I really believe? Do I believe only because I was taught to believe? What do I feel inside? And I can drive myself in circles and crazy for 2-3 months trying to understand the concept. And I'll ask everyone about their, like, what's your higher power and how do you connect and how, and I can go on and on and on and on until one day I need to stop and be like, hey, wait, I need to get out of my head and go into my heart, because my higher power is not in my head. And I forget that. I forget that my higher power is not in my head. I can't think my higher power because it's not something that is like a reality, logical type of thing that I can touch, I can see. So I can't, it doesn't make sense in my head. And it doesn't have to. If I can feel my higher power, that's enough for me today. And for me, my journey with my higher power was like, it goes up and down and up and down. And I have all these different ways that I connect. And the topic of the question of like, where is your higher power is an interesting one. When I sit down and I try to think of how do I connect with my higher power? How do I speak to my higher power? How do I listen to my higher power? And I just went through my 11th step again. So I just did a lot of work on this. And I spent a good few months on it because I was thinking it through way too much. When I sit down at the end of the day and I say, hey, how did I connect with my higher power today? Did I find my higher power today? Did I speak to my higher power? Did I listen to my higher power? And I find all these different little ways that I actually connect with my higher power without being aware that I'm connecting with my higher power. For me, music is one of the things that connects me very strongly with my higher power. I'll find a song that is just saying what I need to say and I connect to it. I'll find a song that has like some verse that like from, I don't know, one of the scriptures, whatever it is. And that's what I need to listen to and I'll sing with it. And that's how I connect. Those quiet moments, which are very few for me because my brain doesn't allow me to have a lot of quiet moments, but I'm learning how to have them or how to notice them more and more in my day. Those quiet moments are amazing. That's where like I can kind of like connect to whatever the source is, wherever it is, and the source within me. A lot of times when I talk about my higher power, it's like this thing that's external to me. And I forget that my higher power is inside me as well. I was always taught that like every single person has a little, like our soul, my soul is basically a part of, no, my soul is like that godly part of me. So if I can connect to that pure place inside of me, I can connect to that like godly place and have a better connection. And inside me, like I actually know what is right at the end of the day. Well, if I connect enough and do enough praying and really connect to that place. It's really hard for me to get deep into that place because of life, because of things that are going on day to day, because, because of the person I am, I don't always look at the bright side of things. I don't look at like, I'm not a very optimistic person. I'm not a very happy person. And I don't strive to be. I strive to be a little bit calmer every day. And it doesn't always work. But when I connect, I know that there's a better chance of me being a little bit calmer. Interestingly enough, the last 2 weeks have been like a crazy, crazy, crazy ride of just messages that I feel that my higher power is sending me, like left and right. And I keep hearing these messages. I keep hearing people speak them at meetings. I keep hearing, like I keep seeing things and I see messages and my brain doesn't want to accept that because my brain can't comprehend that like something outside of me is sending me messages without me, like it just, my brain doesn't comprehend it. And but they're there. And sometimes I'm scared to talk about it because it sounds like I'll talk it and then my brain will be like, Batsheva, like what are you talking about? Like, you're just like spewing like crap. Like, you know, you don't really believe it. And that's what scares me, because when I speak it, it makes it more real. When it's in my head and I'm just like, oh, am I hallucinating? Like, is this a message for me? Is this like, it's kind of like in my own head, I can kind of disregard it. Once I say the things out loud or once I discuss it with people, it makes it more real. And then it makes it also scary. For me, one of the hardest things is trying to figure out, or not trying to figure out, trying to hear the messages my higher power is sending my way. Because sometimes it's messages that I don't want to hear, and sometimes it's messages that overwhelm me, and sometimes it's messages that are completely opposite of what I actually want. And that's really, really hard. And those quiet moments, or those moments when I hear people speaking something that I need to hear, that I know is like a complete direct message from a higher power, are gifts to me, because I want, or I think I want, a lot of things. I actually never know what's actually right for me. Um, and if I can stop and say, hey, I have no idea what's right for me, please just guide me in my recovery, show me how to live. And I can allow myself to open up and actually hear those messages. That's a gift. It's scary, but it's a gift. It's a gift. And I don't know, I've been really grateful in the last few days. I've been really scared in the last few days. And where I have fear, I know is where my higher power is pushing me a little bit, you know, in that direction. And it's scary. It's scary not to know. Like I always say, like, I wish my higher power could just like, you know, talk to me directly, tell me what I need to do, tell me what my mission in life is, tell me what I have. But it doesn't happen that way. It comes in all different ways, and I need to stop and listen. Yeah, and living in fear is kind of pushing my higher power a little bit out of my way, out of my life, and saying, hey, higher power, I see what you're telling me to do. I don't think I'm ready for that. However, I also know that when my higher power sends me something, sends me on a mission, my higher power also usually sends me the tools to deal with it. Sometimes I don't see it right away. There are times that I'll like see it afterwards and I'll be like, oh, wow. Like I actually had, like I got the tools to deal with this before I had the situation. And those moments are amazing. It's amazing when I see them. I don't always see them, but when I do see them, it's amazing. And it reminds me that even when I don't see them, my higher power is usually, well, not usually, my higher power is always sending me the tools to deal with whatever I need to deal with. Yeah, so I am actually not going to keep talking. I'm going to open it up to hear everybody's experiences regarding higher powers and where they're at and how you speak to and listen to your higher power. And I'm really, really grateful to be here. And I will open up the meeting for sharing. You guys can raise your hands.
Hello, my name is Ace and I'm an addict. I don't like silence in meetings. Feel like I'm stealing something. Still enough in my addiction. So thank you so much for sharing your experience, strength, and hope. And thank you everyone who has shared their experience, strength, and hope. Yeah, I can relate to a lot of what you were saying and I really appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out what my higher power and where my higher power is guiding me. And I know that there's times where I feel like I'm getting mixed messages, but I don't necessarily think it's mixed messages. I think it's more so an internal battle that I'm, it's like my addiction and my HP going to war. And because when I do just sit and listen, like my father, my late father used to always tell me to speak little, listen long. And because especially when I get anxious, I just start talking. And when I do actually take the time to sit down and shut my mouth and just to listen, I end up hearing something that I'm not expecting. And when I finally sit there and listen openly and honestly, and I'm willing to listen to even something that I don't want to hear, that's when I have the most growth. That's when I have the most clarity, because there's times that I don't want to hear what my higher power has to say. And that can get me in trouble, and that will get me in trouble so fast. And that's just me. If I'm dismissing my higher power, that's me starting to write my death sentence, because a relapse to me is a death sentence. And I don't want to write my death sentence. And using is just me signing it and following what my HP has to say has saved my life and has gotten me a handful of 24 hours, and it hasn't led me wrong yet. So yeah, defects of character sometimes come on, try to battle with it, but luckily I know that I can surrender that. And thank you for this amazing meeting. Like, I'm in Israel, y'all, but in Minnesota. All right, that'll pass. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Ace. Yuri, come on in.
Hey everybody, my name is Yuri and I'm an addict.
Hey, Yuri.
Hey guys, thank you Batsheva, thank you Ace, thank you everyone for this amazing convention. I was like in the morning, I completely forgot about it and I was so frustrated that I couldn't be here from the very beginning because I had work to do and things. But Batsheva, I was honestly like I was on my way back home with the headphones and everything, and I was barely listening. And then I got back straight home, and I was like half in, half out of the convention. But Batsheva, you were talking about like someone like an outside being or entity like trying to communicate with me, and it's like they just made me remember a lot of things, and it's so funny because like I also didn't know, like, when getting to this program, how this entire God thing is supposed to, like, work. A lot of people were talking about, like, spirituality and spiritual awakening and higher power and just communicating with me. And, like, I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. And then, like, the more God-oriented my life started becoming and the more spiritual my life started being, I started noticing small coincidences. One of the classic ones was like, like I was early recovery. I was in an outpatient program. I woke up in the morning, like, easy, got everything together, walked out of my house, and I'm walking down the street, and then like, oh my God, a 20 shekel bill. I'm like, oh, like, thanks God. Thank you for taking care of me. Like, this is an awesome day, really happy about myself, and like, yay. Then I get to the bus stop, and I'm supposed to go to Ashdod, which is like, about an hour bus ride away. And then I like realized I don't have my bus card on me. So like, I didn't have the money to go back, and like the fee was in total around 20 shekels to get back and forth from to and from Ashdod. And like, so that was like, for me, it was like a message, my higher power is going to give me what I need, not what I want. And I started like believing that and understanding that. So many like, small examples of things like that happening. And for me, it was like, I started believing, okay, this is way too bizarre to become a coincidence. And like, life is in general a series of weird coincidences and things happening. But I'm a firm believer that my higher power works through other people, and this is why every time I get an opportunity, like my higher power puts an opportunity in front of me to help someone, I can never pass it. Because I believe, like, he is calling me, trying to do something positive. And even lately, when I've been like, so exhausted, like with, helping a lot of different people around me, like every time it happens, I feel like, this is how my higher power is trying to like, contact me, like tell me this is something you need to do, this is the person you need to help. Not just like, like spending money on people, but like whatever, someone is feeling bad and wants attention, someone needs help with like some spiritual guiding, someone like, just needs a hug or whatever, even though it's Corona time. But like, I'm a very firm believer that that's one of the ways my higher power communicates with me is for other people. And he presents me every time with like, just basically choices to make. He doesn't judge me. Like in my understanding, my higher power doesn't judge me. He's not here to test me. He presents me with opportunities in my life. Like, and the more God oriented I am, the less self-centered I am, the better choices I make. And I'm also a firm believer that my higher power has a lot to do with karma. So basically, I understand like you're going to do something positive is going to come back your way. You're going to do something negative or something selfish, same thing. Like, something selfish will not benefit me. Something like, possession or materialistic things, like, do not benefit me in a spiritual way. And I always tend to think like, buying more stuff and like, is going to make me happy, and it doesn't. But like, when the opportunity comes to help someone, the opportunity comes to do service, the opportunity comes to do something like, that is like healing someone else and something therapeutic and something that is loving, then I feel that like I'm rewarded back with like, that inner peace, that sort of happiness, that serenity, the like, all the gifts that I was told about in the beginning of recovery, the things that I thought I would never have in my life came through like, helping other people. So, that's my point of view on my higher power. Thank you for listening, everybody. God bless you.
Thank you, Yuri. Alex L., come on in.
Alex Addick, thank you. Batsheva, thank you very much I love that topic. Such a controversial thing outside and the walls of NA and even in here, and that's why I like the idea of it's a spirituality issue. In the Living Clean, in I think they call it the contents. I'll read a minute of this. Spiritual path. The spirituality we experience in NA, it's a simple and practical. It allows us to live in harmony with our world and to experience empathy and compassion for others. The steps are a path to spiritual growth. We are awakening to our own spirituality as we develop a relationship with the higher power in whatever way we understand that. We come to understand that our spirituality is not a part of our lives. It is a way of life that begins as brings us to an understanding of our purpose and freedom we have been seeking all along. I was brought up Catholic, and now I'm a non-practicing, I think I'm still Catholic by birth. And when I came to the program, I had a fear for your God that I thought, but I didn't understand what you guys were talking about. And what I realized today is that my spirituality is all around me. It's not a deity per se. It's not, it is what it is. And if it isn't and good spirit, then I don't really want to be part of it. That doesn't mean I'm going to have perfect harmony all the time, but I have it in me. We all have it in us. The problem is people raised us and they don't know what the hell they were doing. And I come to this fellowship and there's black print in the white paper talks about, you know what, you have to find something that you're comfortable with. And I found that. It's taken me over 40 years to get there, because the reason is I fight my God. I don't know what my God is, but I fight it. And today I realize that my higher power has worked through service. It's really hard to be miserable and ungrateful when you get to go into institutions, when you get to work with sponsees, when you, with this harmony, you start opening up to everybody, even the other religions or the other deities or non-deities. And I mean, like they read, there's even a place for the atheists. And I was speaking to somebody, or heard somebody say the other day about her idea of spirituality with being an atheist, is that her higher power is in the principles. I never heard that before. It's been said, I'm sure, but the idea of those principles are what I think deities or religious people are trying to tell us growing up, but they sure in the hell didn't know how to do it, but to try to shove it down our throat. And today I know I need a higher power. If I don't have a higher power, I am that higher power. And I don't want to be that. That's just too much responsibility. I have more faith and fear than faith itself sometimes. So I've kind of learned through meditation and attending meditation meetings and listening to like our leader and others that don't worry about what it is. Worry about, what am I doing that? Question yourself. There's material that lets you question yourself. How did I behave today? Not only with the family in NA, but our family at home. Am I still trying to beat the ace with the deuce? Am I still walking the old path? Because it has been said in some other religions, if the old you doesn't die, you still got you with you. And I don't, and what I take that for is that, you know what, I still shuck and jive. I still look for an easier, softer way, and I don't want to. I'm not afraid to go through pain. I've been through it. And what I'm afraid of is that I disappoint my higher power, not yours, mine. And I realize my higher power is very loving and caring, and he wants the best for me. So I give it to you because you are my responsibility. My job is to be an example and give it back so I could keep it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Henry, you want to come in and share?
Yeah, I'm Henry. I'm an addict. Thanks, Batsheva.
Hey, Henry.
Thanks again to the convention committee for making this happen, and all of you guys who are here. Wow, I recognize so much in Alex's share and in what you said, Batsheva. I found out 30 years later that one of the reasons why I'm struggling with my higher power, with prayer and my higher power, is because I still have this old belief that was ingrained in me when I was a kid, which basically says, be guilty and be scared. With a belief of be guilty and be scared, there's no way I can pray. It's very difficult to trust as well, as far as I'm concerned. I also, a couple of things, I went to a meeting a week, 10 days ago in the United States, and somebody said, stop looking for God. He doesn't need to be found. He's there. So that's something that kind of shook me up and did something to me as well. Um, and a lot of fake it to make it in the beginning of my recovery. You know, people said, you know, things happen. Just trust it's gonna happen. You know, and also realizing that I don't need to define God. I always thought I had to have a very specific idea or concept but I don't need that. And I'm going to say it before Mark says it, if he decides to speak. But I have a God of my non-understanding, and that's okay. You know, I don't have the pretension of understanding God. You know. And then another thing that I realized a few days back, sharing with a sponsee about the second step, is that every time I was in desperation using, and I'm sure none of you know that moment when you go, please, 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 God, help me, I can't anymore, you know? If you get me through this, you know, I promise I'll stop. And he never let me down. He always got me through it. You know, I'm still here. I'm still alive, you know? And I just actually felt that and realized that a few days ago. And you know, it's, like I said, it's been a while. I do things slowly, you know? Sometimes my penny drops a bit slower than others. But I don't know. It's just gratitude for now and belief that I'm taken care of, you know? Not even belief, I know that I'm taken care of. And I was laughing and smiling when Batsheva was sharing about hearing the messages and, you know, but I do too, you know. And a lot of times I hear and I decide to not listen, you know, or I hear and I listen and I decide to do nothing with it. And I just want to finish very, very briefly. I went to a meeting on Friday morning. Now, I've been struggling with a belly lately. You know, I'm not happy with my belly. And I've asked a friend for the number of a dietitian. And I've had it for the last 2 weeks in my phone. But I didn't do anything with it, you know. And this guy shared at the meeting that he got his 4-step pages, you know, from his sponsor, and he put them down in a place so that when visitors comes, they won't see it. And he didn't start writing, you know. And this is a guy who you know, comes in and out of the rooms. He's been in for a while now, but he used to go in and out of rooms. And I'm feeling bad, you know, when I hear him share that, because I'm thinking, you know, here I am sharing and talking the talk, you know. It's about time that I start walking the walk, and that was my message. That was my message for doing something and getting off my ass. So maybe that was the one time that I did get a message and listened to it and decided not to put it aside and do it tomorrow, but to act now. So thanks for letting me share. Grateful for having this meeting.
Thanks, Henry. All right, Mark. Sorry, Poppy. Come on in.
My name's Mark. I'm an addict.
Hey, Mark.
I want to say I'm glad to be here. I want to say I'm glad to be clean. I'm definitely glad to be clean today. Not always glad to be here. I hate Zoom, but that's a separate topic from a different meeting that I missed already. I do want to say, since Henry stole a couple of my lines already, and that's okay, I'll let him. For those of you who are unaware, very simply, I believe that God is an addict. If you don't believe me, go to an NA meeting. Every meeting I've ever been to, God's there. He must be an addict. That's why he goes to NA meetings. But the truth is I'm gonna flip that and go to the topic of power greater than myself. The power greater than myself occasionally, for those of you who are unaware, could be Batsheva. At times, and she'll admit to this, I call her. When my head starts thinking some ideas, I run them past someone else, Batsheva, Henry, sometimes it's Alex or Shmuel or others. Because when my head starts thinking things, it's not always what it's supposed to be thinking. So I try to bounce stuff off of other people. I have a couple of stories I share about how I decided to believe that there is a God. I grew up with a similar background. I was brought up religious, finger pointing God, you know, do this, do that, or else lightning bolts are coming down to hit you. And they don't usually come down, and they don't usually hit me. So to believe after that became a problem. I won't go through the long story. I'll go through the short story. I rode motorcycle for a bunch of years in America, not far. I wasn't one of those big motorcycle enthusiasts like some other people, but I enjoyed my motorcycle. I enjoyed it as a means of transportation. I enjoyed being able to just get to a meeting if I didn't have to take stuff with me, and just get up there and be able to park without a problem, little things like that. So I enjoyed my motorcycle. When I moved to Israel 8 years ago, I decided to get my license here too. Cars are expensive, gas is expensive. So I signed up for this motorcycle school, which I thought was a bit of a joke, but having had a motorcycle for a couple of years, like I said, back in the States, and came time to take the test, and really the test was a joke. And I did exactly what the guy told me to do, and he failed me. And when I said, but that's what you told me to do, he goes, oh, well, that was a simple answer. Well, bottom line is I took the test a second time, and something else happened, totally different. And I did exactly what the first guy told me to do. The second guy said it was a fail point. And then I took it the third time, and something else happened. Well, you know what? I took that to believe that God don't want me riding motorcycles in Israel. I know what happens around here. The roads are a little bit more dangerous than in some other areas. And I just came to the realization that maybe I just don't belong on the motorcycle. Now, you might not believe that that was God sending me a message. I have to believe that it was God sending me a message, and I accept it as God sending me a message. And I find messages like that, just the fact that I moved to Israel, and I won't go into that long story because they won't give me enough time for that. But I see God's hands in just about everything I do now. I used to have to search and look and question, but then when I just started, I see it. Just when I just open my eyes and become willing to accept that God's been helping me along and guiding me along, I see it constantly. I see God all around me all the time. And, just down to the fact that I came home from school today and somebody reminded me to sign in before Batsheva's meeting started. And I'm glad to be here. Thanks for letting me share. Love you, Batsheva.
Thank you, Poppy. All right. I have 2 more hands up there, 4 minutes. So, Zoe, go for it. Fast. I know you know how to talk fast.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I'm a very grateful recovering addict. I don't know how quick you want me to talk about Batsheva, but I'll do what I can so it's still comprehensible. Thank you, Batsheva, for your share. I love and adore you. I think you're amazing and you have incredible recovery. I love that your recovery is so real and you've never faked it and been like, you're going to be happy-go-lucky because God loves you and all that other unicorn crap. Sorry to say. I love what you said about the whole getting out of a couple things I like from various people, but what you said in particular, getting out of your head and into your heart. I struggle with the whole higher power thing, where at least it's getting better day by day through my step work, especially because I am on step 3 right now. So I knew this would be a good topic to hear about. And I'm struggling because for me, before I came into the program, I would always see a God is someone who God that I knew didn't care about me, let bad things happen to me, didn't protect me when I needed him, when really he was protecting me from a whole lot of stuff. And if I had actually opened my eyes and taken just the blind off, I was actually being protected a lot more than I realized. With obviously the whole jails, institutions, and death thing, that was definitely a big part of it. But just the little things, just watching out for me and making sure that I was protected in other ways, like emotion and the emotional kind of protection. And it was actually shared by someone else that I feel like my addiction and my higher power are constantly at war with each other, and I all the time. That was the perfect sentence that explained exactly what it was. My higher power or a power greater than myself will tell me to do the right thing, to not do this. My addiction will tell me to fuck it all up. And just for today, I'm choosing to listen to my higher power. And with that, I'll say thank you. Fast enough?
Thank you, Zoe. Bob, you had your hand up. Do you want to share real quick? I'll bring you in real quick.
I can share real quick.
Okay.
I'm Bob. I'm an addict. Thank you for calling on me. It's just great to be here. I wear a different hat sometimes outside of the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, that deals with my faith. Once I come in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, we all wear the same hat, and we focus on what we have in common. And what I know about God is that I'm not God. What I also know is that miracles happen here in this program. Unexplainable miracles. You guys don't know me. If you knew me 15 years ago and knew me now, you'd all say, yep, Bob's a miracle. And I believe, even though I don't know you, you guys are miracles too. Real quick, the steps require me. I'm here. The steps require me to get someplace higher that I'm not capable of my own volition. There's something I need to achieve to continue this path of spiritual growth. It's here, and I'm over here. In this gap is where I find God. God provides the power, the energy, however you want to term it, to get me from here in my spiritual path to over here. And I'm a much better person for it. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you so much, Bob. All right, guys, we're going to end the meeting right now because we have another meeting starting right now. I'm just going to end it with the serenity prayer so we recenter ourselves. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you, guys.